I hate Anthony Fantano because he gave My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy a light sip. That's not true. However, he is very flawed and the discourse around him is misguided and unproductive. There's many valid reasons to dislike him that I think get ignored in favor of more reactionary takes. In this video, I'll discuss common critiques of him and also provide some of my own. Fantano is a misogynist.
As a music critic, I believe there's some courtesy you have to execute as a writer critiquing someone's life's work.
I find it so odd how little lasting backlash he got for this. He sounded like he didn't even want to review it. He immediately took great issue with her concept of impersonating other artists and called Halsey's experience with beating cancer as main character syndrome. It is one thing to not like the album or to even connect with it. It is another to tear her down as a person. He'd clearly ignored the mental and physical disorders that had fueled this album's writing, that she had said that they had made her feel disconnected from her own body, and had then also called segments of the album laughable. What is there to laugh about? And Fantano is aware of the backlash. When he brought to the attention of that review, he released a video with a somewhat clickbaiting title on his Fantano channel a few days later, I Messed Up, which at the time I thought was addressing the Halsey review. Instead, it was addressing a taste with Tyler the Creator. The comments on that video are all about Halsey, showing that I'm not the only person who made this assumption. His weird fixation on morality with pop stars. Fantano also tends to fixate on morality when reviewing female artists, more specifically mainstream pop stars. For example, on his reviews on the Tortured Poets anthology, he rags on the Black Dog for being toxic due to the beginning lyrics detailing her stalking her partner. His tone is oddly patronizing.
Taylor is just watching her ex's moves through her phone as if it's any of her business.
And it feels like him getting on a soapbox and preaching. By the way, this segment goes on from 2 minutes and 31 seconds to 4 minutes and 30 seconds. That's 2 minutes of non-music rambling on one song. I'm not a Taylor defender on the slightest, and I don't even think she's likable as a person, but when it comes to this specific song, it really doesn't matter. Basically, everyone knows that stalking your partner is a bad thing. But why did he have to go on a 2-minute ramble about it? It feels unnecessary and out of place. He'd also done this with Sabrina Carpenter on his Short and Sweet review. He shouts her out in the beginning of the video for having multiple good pop hits, but then randomly complains about espresso being shouted down people's throats through music algorithms, which is somewhat true, but again, it has nothing to do with Sabrina herself. And then he mentions her lyrics not
always reflect as well on her as you would expect, given just how huge of a commercial success she's become.
Again, why does that matter? Why is it that nowadays mainstream pop stars are expected to be shiny, feminist role models? Shouldn't Fantano be about authenticity in music? Why does how popular she is matter? Now, I would not label him as a misogynist, but I believe he has some weird takes regarding women's art. I think that people who call him misogynistic for giving lower ratings to female artists dilute this discourse, such as people getting mad at Vegetable Cutters by Fiona Apple getting a 7 out of 10. Fantano latches onto this poor faith criticism to discredit all allegations of misogyny when there's more pressing, credible points regarding his gender biases. For example, he tends to dismiss the misogyny allegations by saying, "I give high ratings to women," which is basically the equivalent of saying, "I'm friends with minorities so I can't be racist." It's a bunch of bullshit. Fantano has bad takes and is out of touch. This is a critique of his which I think is especially stupid. Fantano's music taste is bad because controversial rating. Fantano gave Sexy Red a decent A, which means that the album is better than Damn, any Childish Gambino album, Flower Boy, Astroworld, girl, whatever. May I reiterate that Fantano is just a guy that likes music at the end of the day. We all have our hot takes. Having these hot takes doesn't make your music taste bad, it just means you're not blindly following other people's opinions. And people forget that different types of albums need to be judged differently. I'm not going to a Kendrick Lamar album having the same rating criteria as I would if I was listening to an electronic album. With Kendrick's music, I would focus more on lyrics, for example, whereas for electronic music, I would focus more on soundscapes and the way that it progresses. This is the issue with numerical scores for albums in general. People view it as a static rating rather than a unit of enjoyment for an album. This leads to people rushing to the end of the video just to see what he gave the album, distorting discourse. Music discussion gets flooded with numbers that are useless without any reasoning attached to them. There is no discussion to be had if everybody involved is only interested in numbers. Fantano is old and out of touch. Yes, Fantano is 39 years old. Yes, sometimes him being terminally online can definitely come across as grating, especially with his sense of humor. However, it is a useless nothing burger critique when discussing his reviews. If you think he's less likely to like underground rap music like Netspin because of his age, consider how your own age may lead to biases in your own music taste. How many 10-year-olds' favorite band is Pink Floyd, for example? I think this video, Please Stay Away from the New Gen Anthony Fantano, perfectly sums up the ridiculousness of a lot of these claims. These critiques are based on takes on underground rage rap. There's an in-joke that extremely low ratings from Fantano are practically a 10 for Opium. This video's point can be summed up to Fantano is old and I as a younger person like listening to fun music with my friends, so he's out of touch for not liking the same stuff I do. I'm not hating on this creator, but he represents a lot of these fans online posting, "I don't care about your opinion, stupid bald man," and they clearly do care. And people saying that he hates rage rap or only likes intellectual rap is blatantly false. He's controversially gave Lil Pump a 7 out of 10, gave Rest in Bass by Che a 7 out of 10, and Die Lit an 8 out of 10. Yeat's also, unironically, one of my favorite artists of all time, and he's been consistently giving good ratings to him after the release of Life. So maybe he's not an old head after all. Hypocrisy. I'll try to finish this section as fast as possible because I think it is fleet irrelevant. If Fantano had been in edgy spaces before, how can he pretend to be a leftist now? People can grow and change. Anybody trying to cancel Fantano now, see this controversy from this year, are plain stupid. He has clearly moved on from this phase of his life. He's made full videos acknowledging his past and taking accountability. A lot of people still hung up on his past tend to be either anti-woke right-wingers who are trying to cling on to this to destroy his credibility regarding politics, or music fans who are bitter about him giving bad ratings or having bad takes, quote-unquote, for artists they like and therefore trying to tear him down. You see this in some videos discussing the controversy, talking about how they were finally preying on his downfall. Of course, you can be put off by his work, but saying that he's a leftist grifter is ignorant at best and malicious at worst. The Vultures controversy. In early 2024, Anthony Fantano released his Vultures 1 review, which was titled Unreviewable 1. It makes the case that since Kanye's fans have become so rabid that they are practically a cult, that Fantano sees no point in reviewing Vultures, especially with Kanye's recent actions. This immediately garnered backlash as Kanye fans accused him of being obsessed with Ye and also questioned why Vultures was so unreviewable, considering that he had reviewed other controversial artists such as Bosom in the past, or reviewed Kanye back in 2018 when he has famously said that slavery was a choice. But a lot of the backlash began to get suffocating. My own take is that I think that he was virtue signaling with that video. Listen, he can choose to review or not review whatever he wants to, but to make it a point to call Vultures 1 unreviewable, instead of releasing a statement on social media saying something like, I don't feel like reviewing Vultures because would have been a lot better. His unreviewable 1 video got 2.5 million views. Would he have gotten the same amount of attention if he had just released a fleeting statement? I don't think so. As for whether it makes him hypocritical though, I don't think so. His unreviewable 1 video was more of a vent about how Kanye stans are practically a cult and how he doesn't want to be harassed by Kanye fans. Well, look how that panned out. This is evident from his response to the backlash months later with Unreviewable 2. A somewhat clickbaity video where he reviews Vultures 2. He says he has
no plans on hearing this album,
especially after seeing even Kanye's most diehard fans hate the album. He addresses the album's use of AI as well as its use of lazy rips from YouTube, such as 530's leak. Now that all the common critiques of Fantano are out the way, here's some of my own personal issues with him. Fantano seems to not bother engaging properly with certain artists. There are some artists that I think Fantano has a grudge against for absolutely no reason. For example, he'd given Care For Me by Saba a meh out of 10. The whole album is extremely serious and vulnerable, talking a lot about his own trauma and loss. But all Fantano seems to be able to say in his review of that album is how Saba wears his influences on his sleeve. He says that again and again and again, and manages to rephrase it in 10 different ways. In his Few Good Things review a few years later, he completely brushed off people asking for a redux on the album and strawmans them into people who just want him to give a 10 to Care For Me. He then did something similar to Red Veil years later, where he'd heard his song on stream, called him a shitty or sweatsuit ripoff.
The only thing you guys love more than your favorite rapper is the 5 motherfuckers copying him.
Then started feuding with him on Twitter. Mind you, Red Veil was 16. There was also this beautiful string of tweets at the time. In both cases, he was extremely dismissive to these artists with zero solid reason past just being influenced by others. Thankfully though, he seems to have come around to Red Veil, kinda, giving his track with JPEGMAFIA Black Enough in 2023 a spot in his best new tracks. His reviews aren't even all that. I used to be a huge Fantano fan when I was first getting into music. I'm talking this dude was my favorite YouTuber. It was a very embarrassing point of my life. He was my main inspiration to start reviewing music and to start taking music criticism and music in general a lot more seriously. However, as I began to form my taste and also get better at reviewing, I realized that his reviews are often extremely surface level. I found myself leaving a video of his feeling like I've learned nothing at all about the album or artist. He tends to briefly gloss over tracks, straight up ignore important tracks, or haphazardly throw adjectives on songs with little thought. He also neglects context and can misinterpret music a ton. I think it is because he tends to not research the artist or the albums he's reviewing before he reviews them anymore. I think he just wants to jump into a lot of these albums for the sake of providing his opinion on it. Now, you could say that this is a result of him uploading reviews nearly every day. However, a much better music reviewing YouTuber, Professor Sky, releases videos 3 to 4 times a week. As the name suggests, he is a professor with much more knowledge of music and culture than Fantano does. I also appreciate his personal touch. I get the impression that with each album, he is doing his best to engage with it, weighing the positive and negative parts of an album and also keeping in mind people's responses to it. He's not afraid to have hot takes either. See his extremely positive review on Tame Impala's Deadbeat when everyone, myself included, did not like the album. He focuses on how the music relates to things going on in his life and makes the smart choice to not include scores and just let the commentary speak for itself. His style of making reviews is much less marketable than Fantano though, which is why he has 5% of the subscribers Fantano does. Conclusion. I think that people put too much weight on Fantano's opinions. A lot of negative discourse around him is a direct result of that. Every time a Fantano review drops on a somewhat popular album, people on Rate Your Music or AOTY are the first to jump on calling any score increase or decrease a result of the Fantano effect, which is near impossible to properly verify. It's just a buzzword that is spread on those sites. To say that Fantano's opinions on music have no impact on music is disingenuous though. Rina Sawayama had said that Fantano giving her debut EP, Rina a 9 out of 10, had helped her to kickstart her career. There's entire chronically online subcultures that are dedicated to Fantano core. Artists like JPEGMAFIA, Death Grips, Shushu are synonymous with it and also have gained popularity through his glowing reviews. And JPEGMAFIA, like the self-aware, terminally online dude he is, had posted a photo of him linking up with Anthony Fantano, which I had also drawn because I thought it was funny. Adding on to a point I briefly glossed over it when discussing him being out of touch, Fantano is the face of online music nerd culture and actively feeds into it. He follows Instagram music meme pages like Shoegaze or The Soundgeist, etc. Fantano is too self-aware of the status he has in this meme community and thus can try too hard to appeal to them. Then again, I do dislike a lot of ironic music memes and jokes in general, so I'm probably a terrible judge of this. Overall, I have very mixed opinions on Fantano. I think he mistakenly gets a lot of flack from those who think he worsens music discourse. As I've said before, Fantano's negative impact on music discourse only exists due to the toxicity that's already in it. There's much worse people that could have been the face of music criticism. Imagine if someone like Brad Taste had been the face of music discourse instead. There's much worse people who could have been the face of music criticism. Imagine if someone like Brad Taste was the face of music criticism instead. That'd have been horrible. I think it's a good starting point for those who are just starting to get into music or music criticism, but emulating him or seeing him as the only valid critic shouldn't be the end goal. I'm giving Anthony Fantano a decent to strong 4. What do you think of this video? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I make a video on next? Hit the like if you like. Hit subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Cap 7, Anthony Fantano, forever.